Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Emo Anime Character Shooting Gun Show. I'm your host,
Waruiko,
your favorite YouTuber, here to mumble incoherently about the video game 10,000 Bullets released for the PlayStation 2 in 2005. 10,000 Bullets is what happens when a team of well-known Japanese game devs go rogue and create a stylish third-person shooter crime opera where Bruce Lee fights anime mafia vampires. I first played 10,000 Bullets around the age of 11, the perfect age for a game like this, and have not forgotten it since. It shares the same folder in my childhood memory bank as getting to the Sensei in God Hand, or playing as Virgil in DMC3 Special Edition. It's not as good as either of those games, but my brain lumping them together says a lot, I think. It was exciting and over the top in a way that was totally new to me, and I'm pleased to say its charm has remained mostly intact after all these years. I will now attempt to convey said charm to the best of my ability. Crow, also known as
Bloody Crow,
is a young hitman working in Italy under the trenchcoat mafia with his buddy Judas. His humble life of murder quickly falls apart as he is targeted by just about every single crime syndicate on planet Earth, including his own, all of them seeking to drink his special blood and absorb his powers. So Crow and friends go on a multinational adventure where he gets revenge and ends his accursed bloodline and shoots 10,000 people to death. I should probably mention that the game's Japanese title is Tsukyo ni Saraba, literally farewell to the moonlit night. But if we're feeling a little pretentious, we could also turn that into Moonlit Farewell, or maybe Goodbye to Moonlight. 10,000 Bullets is the game's localized European title. I always figured they were above this kind of angry Kirby nonsense, but I guess not. Our prime suspect here is Yoshitaka Murayama, the man who created the Suikoden franchise and directed its first two games, before leaving Konami and founding Blue Moon Studio, whose only game is 10,000 Bullets. He was the game's lead planner and writer, while its soundtrack was handled by goddamn Yasunori Mitsuda with the help of Miki Higashino, who was in charge of the music for the earlier Suikoden games, as well as other Konami stuff like Gradius and Contra. The game's character designer is Ryoji Minagawa, who did the art for Spriggan. That's a pretty fucking stacked team, and they knew it very well going by the game's marketing.
プロデュース村山義孝、キャラクター皆川良二、サウンド三田康則、時さえも自在に操る能力者たち、復讐の物語が今ここに幕を開ける。
The people involved with this game are such a big deal that I actually have photos of them to show you and don't have to pull up Yaju-senpai or whatever. Murayama's response in this interview is quite revealing as to where the game's coming from. I've always felt some discomfort in the structure of the game development field. Instead of making products under a company with a stable salary, I wanted to work in a strict condition where the evaluations of my games would directly affect my lifestyle, said Murayama. So I've launched my own company Blue Moon Studio to work as a freelance project designer. And about half a year later, I had the chance to talk with people from Taito and the project started from around there. Nearly all of the key staff here come from a JRPG background, and this becomes very apparent once you get into the game. 10,000 Bullets is a fast arcadey shooter that also has experience points, equipable skills, a world map, party members, spells and buffs that expand your MP gauge. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant gun gauge, excuse me. This game is something of an odd detour for everyone involved. An action title that's stuffed to the brim with RPG sensibilities on top of being extremely Japanese PS2 all around.
found out about Papa Tonio.
It's so PS2 it even crashed my emulator a few times, really taking me back to those 2010 bootleg console days. Between every level there are visual novel segments where you talk business, lurk around CD bars for info, and hang out with your friends. When gameplay starts proper, you're shooting your way through city streets, nightclubs, graveyards, aquariums, Japanese underground malls, every level its own cinematic action scene. Each of the game's main characters have their own unique attacks and skills which can be activated during combat while draining your gun gauge. You refill said gauge by doing combo chains on enemies, which proved to be a bit of a tall order for me. At the end of every level, you get your typical action game letter grade, which rewards you with BP you can later use to buy and upgrade skills. It's a very nice and simple system, and I think it helps add some depth to what is otherwise a manic clusterfuck of a game. If you like what you've seen so far, then I can confirm this game plays 90% as fun as it looks. The other 10% kind of feels like being inside a tumble dryer, but we'll talk about that later.
I knew it would end like this.
Anyway, our main man Crow,
Or should I call you Bloody Crow.
Was the first character we play as, and he's your typical all-rounder protagonist. He uses dual pistols that can kick people into the air, setting them up for easy combos. He also has Bullet Time, a skill with no cooldown period that can be spammed indefinitely so long as you've got the gauge for it. You might see this as weird or some kind of oversight, but I'd say it's basically mandatory to survive in this game. My favorite of his skills is Rage, which is kind of like the world's gayest devil trigger. Something I was pleasantly surprised by was the enemy variety. Some enemies will plant landmines or throw grenades and rockets at you or block your bullets. They're fairly small twists to the typical run-and-shoot gameplay, but I still appreciate them. Feels very beat-em-up.
Let's play.
No, Crow, this is a review. Crow has Gunslinger blood, which gives him special enemy powers and makes him supernaturally good at killing. Gunslingers are naturally drawn to each other, and all of them, aside from Crow and friends, are complete psychopaths who don't care about anything other than killing, to gather more blood and become stronger.
Let's play.
This is a pretty awesome concept, honestly. Intercontinental battle royale between super predator gun vampires, using the entire criminal underworld as expendable pawns and meat shields. Crow's mother was killed for having the same blood and presumably refusing its call, and so he was raised within Papa Tonio's crime family, vowing to avenge her death. But surprise surprise, all the Mafia members are also gunslingers who were exploiting his powers and just waiting for him to become a sufficiently juicy blood bag for them. Time for Crow to do what he does best, which appears to be locking onto random bullshit in the level while there's 5 dudes shooting him in the back. You press R1 to lock on and square to shoot, and R2 switches targets. There's a small gimmick where you deal more damage if you wait a second for your target reticle to get small and turn red. It kills guys with 1 shot as opposed to 3, which makes a big difference in this game, believe it or not. This is all fine and I like it, but the real problem here is target priority. I have no idea how the game calculates this, but more often than not it led to me aiming randomly at cars or barrels, while it simply refused to lock on to nearby enemies. It's not a constant problem, but becomes very aggravating now and then. It's the classic case of a game that demands sharp reflexes and precise execution, but doesn't have the mechanical polish to facilitate that. My only advice is to upgrade your HP whenever you can, and don't hesitate to lower the difficulty if things get too stupid. If the game isn't playing fair, then neither should you.
Alright, I think it's time for you to die.
Damn!
I know I just went on about how cool this game's premise is,
What was that
but I
about?
think it's somewhat betrayed by nearly every gunslinger in the game being a hysterical cartoon character that can summon shadow clones and do lightning dashes.
Watch this!
These over-the-top abilities would probably be fine if the actual characters weren't so horribly uncool. The voice acting doesn't help. I think the Japanese dub fares a little better here.
My first memory was of blood flowing. My first thoughts were of revenge.
人生最初の記憶は溢れて流れる血で、最初の感情は復讐だった。
I don't remember ever getting that notorious. You won't get famous by killing me.
I am not interested in fame. What I want is your life.
Why?
そこまで有名になった覚えはないがな。俺をやっても名は挙げられないぞ。
名はいらない。欲しいのはあなたの命です。
こだわるな。
Anyway, Crow narrowly escapes death by the Tokusatsu villain mafia and flees into England and later Japan. 5 years go by and he's now an official Yakuza lapdog and gunslinger hunter, who have since grown into their own syndicate called the Sleepers and are killing the shit out of normal hardworking criminals all over the globe. He even gets his own Genki tomboy sidekick who would really like some vampire dick, but he's all like, "No, I must kill. I am revenge." Alice is the second character we unlock. She uses a Type 17 Mauser and is all about being quick and crafty. She can pull off precision shots and dash with her shadow step, use throwing knives. Pineapple mode unacquired, skill where you attack with grenades. She's got a kung fu melee combo that is actually lethal unlike Crow's kick. She also gets a unique full auto skill which turns her pistol into an uncontrollable machine gun. I imagine this goes a little like that one Heather Mason image. I found it to be every bit as fun as Crow and just as combat viable. And then something amazing happens.
Alright, I'm all set. Let's see what this thing could do.
We are introduced to a gunslinger from Hong Kong who came to Japan to avenge his dead father. He's called Dragon, he's the third playable character, and he snaps this game in half.
Time to kick ass!
Dragon is a kung fu master, you see. He doesn't use guns. His only attacks are punching and kicking. His unique skill is the Dragon Kick, which might be one of the greatest attacks I've ever seen in a video game. It's a homing kick with infinite range and perfect accuracy. You can just bounce off of dudes and stay in the air basically forever. You are now playing Sonic Adventure. It even has the part where you bump into shit and get stuck. Things like level design or enemy AI become mere suggestions before your divine aimbot kick. You are the bullet now.
No.
He has no character arc, no greater purpose within the plot. This is just all he does the entire game.
You killed my father because of your delusional fantasies. I'll kill you for that!
What a hero. Nothing can stop Crow now that he can count on his barely legal not girlfriend and his cool ethnic bro. The game has 2 more playable characters you can unlock after beating the game once. I know you can also get them during a normal playthrough by visiting certain places and triggering certain conversations, but fuck off, I'm not playing Kara no Shoujo here. The first of these is Boris, a Russian gunslinger that surprisingly does not try to kill Crow. I apologize for not doing the Boris route during my playthrough. I'm sure she's a very compelling and deep character. She uses 2 wildly overpowered submachine guns and cannot run or jump. You just strut forward, decimating everything in your way. Alice's Shadow Step is just built into her moveset, which is pretty nice. You can also get pineapple grenades for her if you so desire.
Want some of this?
Her close range attack is pulling out a pump-action shotgun that she carries around like a handbag.
Start the body count.
Black Alice is like Alice, but evil and fucked up. Her name even has a skull decoration in the select screen. I have no idea what would possibly lead to Alice turning into this. Maybe Crow takes her to a hot topic or something. In any case, she now looks like some edgy, customized Tekken character, and is even more overpowered than Boris. She's got the same SMGs, but can jump and run with them. She also stole the shotgun skill from Boris, and she still has all the lame Alice's skills on top of that. I wrote all that stuff about Boris before snooping around and discovering her route actually includes 2 entirely unique boss fights with their own cutscenes and everything, and it even alters the ending slightly. I doubted Murayama-san's vision and can only offer my sincerest apologies for this transgression. The soundtrack to 10,000 Bullets is excellent, which is the least surprising statement ever uttered if you've ever played even an hour of Xenogears or Chrono Cross. Mitsuda and Higashino bring such a wonderfully moody jazz soundtrack that the actual game honestly fails to measure up to it. It's what I expected Gungrave to sound like, but when I played that I just heard a bunch of scary noise music. There's all these corny, simple pack rap verses sprinkled throughout the soundtrack, and I really do love them. Tacky as they might be, none of them are as bad as the one from Persona Trinity Soul.
Like Chef Boyardee, my rhyme is truly cooking.
The game is both classy and stylish in that uniquely Japanese way where cinematic inspirations mix with theatrical melodrama, trendy street fashion, and a strange fascination with guns. Japanese games treat firearms very differently from the West, and once you notice it, you start seeing it everywhere. I don't know if it's because of their exotic and dangerous nature, or just some latent autistic fascination with complex machinery, but the Japanese appear to regard guns almost as fashion accessories that complement a character or a world. They're cool, serious things that cool and serious people have. Crow lives in a dark world of criminal conspiracy, so it makes perfect sense for him to use these tricked-out bright silver handguns. It's quite possible that playing this game was instrumental with me later falling in love with Black Lagoon and also wanting Revy to molest me. Basically, the guns aren't just weightless laser pointers that make numbers go up, but a crucial piece of the game's atmosphere and identity. The doves flying away, the cartoonish way bad guys explode, the bullets whizzing by in slow motion, the character select screen, even things like the font and sound effects, all of it comes together to give this impression of over-the-top luxury and action. You can really imagine what it's like to be a cool Matrix vampire mafioso with a super gay lisp, although I don't need to imagine the last part. Let's take a tiny look at the Maid Uniform and Machine Gun, a simple series game graciously translated to English some time ago. The title screen alone should prove my point. Bullets contrasted with white marble in a golden frame, fancy fonts and icons, all scored by this RPG main theme as music. A closer look reveals a very cute art style that wouldn't look out of place in some platformer for kids. But then she pulls out a fucking Galil and you can choose to balance your assault rifle's weight with a damage upgrade. There's like 20 other guns you can unlock. Do you not see how strange this is? To make it even clearer, you change your outfit and equip your weapons in the same screen. They are literal accessories to your ditzy maid girl. Everything in this game is cute. The enemies are cute, your damage noise is cute. It has a dedicated maid button. All of this, and it still features a greater focus on real-world weapon collection and customization than most games released during its time. If you're still not convinced, then I'd like to point you towards Gunslinger Girl Volume 1. You could probably fool someone into thinking this is the intro screen for a teen eco game, but it's actually Time Crisis starring a 12-year-old girl that also gains an obscene amount of real-world weaponry. Pillow fight? Once again, I have to stress just how nice all of this looks. Every level has briefing and ranking screens where our girl gives wistful existential monologues as you choose your weapons. The second level has you shooting your way through an idyllic Italian city set to some smooth Dreamcast music. Look at this incredibly sleek chapter card. It even shows whatever the current song is. Your score items are fucking teddy bears. I think I've made it abundantly obvious that 10,000 Bullets is yet another entry in the greater canon of Japanese gun fascination. Hell, just look at Ryoji Minagawa's art. It's no accident he was picked to work on this game, it's perfectly in line with his tastes. The only other game I can compare it to at this point is Resonance of Fate, another game about fashionable young people with fancy guns doing fancy murders, except this time it's an actual RPG instead of just being Max Payne with limit breaks. If you can think of any other Japanese gun games, then feel free to tell me. This is a very interesting topic that has been tragically ignored for a very long time because people would rather jerk off to Unreal Engine remakes than actually think about anything, so any discussion on it is much appreciated. 10,000 Bullets is that one poorly translated anime you saw when you were 12 that you can't remember the name of. You recall it having backflips and guns and being really cool, but the finer details escape you. Go through the trouble of finding it again and you'll be surprised by how well it holds up under adult scrutiny. You may even find yourself more appreciative of it now than you were back then. Alright, I think we're done here. Tune in next time for my review of Tiny Bullets for the PS1, and then my review of Critical Bullets 7 Target by Capcom. Then I'll become a film channel and review Bullet Ballet by Shinya Tsukamoto. But not before doing an in-depth analysis of 50 Cent Bulletproof. You know, this seemed a lot funnier when I wrote it like a week ago.
Under you in light sea of dreams. Moonlight fills the air, shooting stars. And what a beautiful arc. Even through the darkest night, just close your eyes, I'll be by your side.